ABC6. Good evening, Southern New England. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tiffany Murphy. If you haven't heard yet, we had a fire inside of our ABC6 News studios, so we are coming to you in a different format for the time being. For now, let's get straight to our top story. Governor Dan McKee sworn in today for his first full term in Rhode Island's highest office. ABC6 News reporter Hector Molina was there.
Well, the new year marks a new term for Governor McKee here in Rhode Island. After being selected into his role after Governor Raimondo left, today marks the beginning of his first full term as the 76th governor of Rhode Island.
I solemnly swear to be true and faithful and impartially discharge all the duties of your aforesaid office to the best of your abilities, according to law, so help you God. I do. Congratulations.
Inauguration Tuesday afternoon took a look at the past, present, and future of the state of Rhode Island. During his remarks, Governor McKee mentioned his past accomplishments, such as the rebound from the COVID pandemic, and his current projects paving the way for the future.
We're delivering historic tax credits, tax relief to families. We're saving Superman and breathing new life in the downtown Pawtucket. Just getting started.
McKee also highlighted how he plans to build on his momentum, highlighting his top 3 goals to accomplish before 2030.
Investing in all of us and ensuring Rhode Islanders have the skills to get good paying jobs. Raising education outcomes for our children to reach Massachusetts levels by 2030. And finally, creating healthier Rhode Island, where we reduce illness and improve health outcomes for all of us.
Today also marked the swearing-in of Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos, Secretary of State Greg Amore, and new General Treasurer James Diosa, a team that will work to keep the governor's momentum rolling into a new term.
Now let's get started. God bless you. God bless Rhode Island.
In Providence, Hector Molina, ABC6 News.
While Rhode Islanders are celebrating Governor McKee's swearing in, they're also mourning former Governor Lincoln Almond, who passed away today at 86. ABC6 News reporter Daniel Coates has more.
It's a day of mourning for Rhode Island as the state's 72nd governor, Lincoln Almond, passed at the age of 86. The news of the Republican leader who served the Ocean State from 1995 to 2003 was broken by Governor McKee. On the day of his inauguration, he released a statement reading in part, "Rhode Island was better off because of his 8 years." Leaders like former State Justice Robert Flanders remembered Almond.
Had a character that would not permit him to tolerate corruption or anything other than what was in the best interest of the people. And so I think that made him a governor that people liked and respected. And
a staunch proponent of improving health care for children and investing in higher education, Almond selected Flanders to the state Supreme Court, and in other governing branches often didn't run into each other, but said he always admired his leadership from afar.
His legacy is honesty and strong ethics in government, which is always a welcome thing for anybody who aspires to high office. And I think he certainly embodied that in his years as governor and as U.S. attorney.
More reactions from state political leaders to come tonight on 11 at 11. In Providence, I'm Daniel Coates, ABC6 News.
In national political news tonight on Capitol Hill, the new 118th Congress convening this afternoon as a battle wages over the next Speaker of the House. Here's ABC's Faith Abube.
A dramatic showdown in the House of Representatives as voting to decide who will wield the Speaker's gavel gets underway. With Republicans now in control of the chamber, GOP leader Kevin McCarthy has already moved into the Speaker's office, but uncertainty is looming over whether he'll become second in line to the presidency, as more than a dozen conservative members were poised to oppose his election.
We may have a battle on the floor, but the battle is for the conference and the country, and that's fine with me.
Florida Representative Matt Gaetz is among 5 far-right members vowing to vote against him, despite McCarthy making major concessions, including a promise to make it easier for members to oust him as Speaker.
If you want to drain the swamp, you cannot put the biggest alligator in charge of the exercise. And it is true that we struggle with trust with Mr. McCarthy.
Representative Bob Good on Fox News.
I suspect 10 to 15 members will vote against him.
McCarthy needs 218 votes. Republicans have a razor-thin majority of 222, so he can only afford to lose 4 GOP members. He's counting on every vote, including that of controversial New York Congressman-elect George Santos. Santos has admitted to making several false statements about his personal and professional background. His legal troubles mounting as prosecutors in Brazil plan to reopen a 2008 fraud case against him for allegedly stealing a check. McCarthy silent about calls for Santos to step down. And all House business, including the swearing in of lawmakers, is frozen until a new speaker is elected. And if McCarthy fails to get enough support on the first ballot, it would be the first time in 100 years the House would need multiple votes to elect a speaker. In Washington, Faith Abube, ABC News.
Time now for a first look at our forecast. Here's Storm Tracker meteorologist Kelly Bates.
Well, we certainly had the chilly rain coming down, but temperatures were actually a little bit warmer than average. We basically made it to 48 degrees in Providence and at the airport, and that is 8 degrees warmer than average. We even saw the 50s in areas outlying the city, from 53 in Smithfield and Coventry to 52 from New Bedford to Newport, Westerly, and right on out to Block Island. Now, we still have more rain to go through. This is just sort of the onset of a system that's going to bring us not continual rain, but periods of rain. And of course, this was the start of it. The timeline for this has periods of rain continuing to move through. As we zoom out, you can see that there is still more to go through that's currently working its way up the Appalachians. So we do have more rain in the forecast. We are looking at temperatures that will be going up, ensuring that we stay all rain. And we're also looking to top out in the morning for tomorrow. So coming up in our extended weather, we're going to take a look at when these temperatures are finally going to come back to average. Tiffany?
Fall River police investigating after they say a man was shot last night. ABC 6 News reporter Wlne News has the details.
Fall River's first shooting of the new year happening just less than 48 hours into 2023, and today still no arrests made in connection to that shooting that resulted in one man being taken to the hospital. Police called to Pittman Street in Fall River at just before 11 o'clock Monday night for reports of shots fired in the area. Once on scene, they say they found a 37-year-old man shot multiple times on his left side, later taken to St. Luke's Hospital where he remains today, currently in stable condition. But the search for a potential shooter remains. Fall River police still not making any arrests in connection to the shooting at this time, and tell ABC 6 the incident is under investigation by the Major Crimes Division. And police are asking for the public's help in trying to identify the shooter, and they ask anyone with any information to contact the Major Crimes Division. Reporting in Fall River, Wlne News, ABC 6 News.
Bristol County DA Thomas Quinn says a 42-year-old man was arrested over the weekend in connection with a deadly house fire from November. Officials say Adam Rollins is accused of robbing and assaulting 80-year-old Judith Henrick, who was later found dead inside of her Attleboro home after firefighters knocked down that blaze. The cause of the fire still being investigated. In national news tonight, terrifying moments on the field when Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin collapsed after going into cardiac arrest during the Bills-Bengals game last night. Hamlin surrounded by teammates and opponents while medics administered CPR on the field before he was rushed to the hospital.
He's fighting, he's a fighter. The family's in good spirits. We're honestly just taking it minute by minute, hour by hour.
Before playing professional football, Hamlin started a foundation raising money to support his community toy drive. That GoFundMe account already ballooning to more than $3.5 million as fans rally behind his recovery. The NFL announcing this afternoon that game will not resume this week. Our ABC 6 News reporter Natalie Norrie spoke with a leading cardiologist at Lifespan about how rare this kind of event is.
Monday Night Football coming to a complete stop minutes into the first quarter following a tackle made by 24-year-old Damar Hamlin. The safety collapsed onto the field suffering from cardiac arrest, requiring CPR for at least 10 minutes, as well as the use of a defibrillator.
It's difficult to protect against this because the blow doesn't need to be terribly strong in order to cause trouble. It just happens, it has to happen at precisely the wrong literal millisecond.
Daniel Philbin, a cardiovascular specialist, explains in a heart cycle, there's a millisecond of vulnerability where any force during this time can cause cardiac arrest.
And you could watch someone take 50 or 100 mild blows to the chest like that and be perfectly fine. It literally has to do with the timing of the cardiac cycle.
Dr. Philbin saying the most important thing is having life-saving equipment nearby and knowing where it is.
Recovery from this depends almost entirely on the rapidity with which a shock is delivered to defibrillate the heart.
ABC 6 asked if better gear could have prevented this, or if this is something athletes should be aware of before playing.
To limit people's participation because of something like this may not make a lot of sense just because it's so uncommon. I think that the proper reaction, though, too, for sure, is to be prepared for it.
Dr. Philbin also says this kind of injury is most common in youth baseball, but in a full-grown male, it's incredibly rare, adding that at this point, Hamlin is in critical care, meaning he's on a respirator, which allows doctors to take over and make proper assessments. The Bills-Bengals game has been suspended for the remainder of the week. For now, reporting in Providence, Natalie Norrie, ABC 6 News.
Police in Moscow, Idaho, now releasing more details on how they tracked down that man accused of killing 4 college students. Law enforcement used public genealogy databases to track down Brian Kohberger, the graduate student working as a teacher's assistant toward a criminology PhD at Washington State. Kohberger was arrested 2 weeks after the murders at his father's house in Pennsylvania. He faces an extradition hearing today. There's so much more news and weather to come after the break. Stick around right here on ABC 6 News. Be sure to download our ABC 6 News app so you can get news and weather alerts sent straight to your cell phone.